Well, I'm back online after being away for 5 weeks, and I've got to say I'm feeling very, very much invigorated and very excited to share with you some of the things that I've been up to. I've been in the UK, in Spain, in France, and now in Greece. I'm in Athens today, and I've got some amazing, amazing things to share with you, especially on the food front. But I set off on this trip committed to the idea of going with opportunities and not being too set in my ways, letting go of my control, or my control issues, I should say, and going with the flow of life, following opportunities where they took me. And it's been something of a challenge in many, many ways, but an interesting one. And I thought I'd share with you just one anecdote amongst many that sort of shows you what I'm on about. When I first arrived in the UK, I came across all these books by a guy called Alistair Saudet, and they're about the slow movement in Europe and amazing accommodation options and food options and that kind of thing. And I thought, oh look, I'd really love to go to some of the places he recommends. I mentioned it to my sister-in-law. She said, well, you know what, he's a friend of my father's and he happens to be in town for this big environmental conference. This is in Bristol. I'll, hook you guys up. So Alistair and I had a coffee and he said, look, you really should go to Spain. So I thought, well, I should. I'll go and book a ticket. And I did. I booked a ticket that night. And he said, look, if you go to Spain, you should connect with my friend, Guy Hunter Watts. And he said he's the expert for hiking and slow food and all of that kind of thing. And he wrote the Spanish chapters of my book. So definitely connect with him. So I did. And Guy said, come and stay with me on my farm near Ronda in Andalusia. So I said, okay. And he and his partner were just absolutely wonderful people. We had an incredible time, and I'll provide some details so that you can connect with him yourselves if you're interested. And he set me off on these hikes that just blew my mind. For 4 days I hiked. I saw absolutely nobody. I was hiking for 3 to 6 hours a day. The happiest I've been in a very, very long time. And again, I'll post the details. Anyway, when I got back, we went out for dinner in this tiny little town, and I came across some friends of theirs that were running this eco farm that's funded by a rich Austrian guy who also funds Madrid, the Madrid soccer team. Billionaire. And this is his pet project, this kind of eco farm. And I met Seamus the horse whisperer, the Irish horse whisperer. And he looked after the horses on this property, and a bunch of other people, including a getaway car driver. Seriously. Anyway, Spain happened. It was incredible. I found myself some weeks later on a train to Madrid having a wobbly moment. Indecision was creeping in. I was doubting this whole idea of not travelling with a guidebook, going from city to city without really knowing what I was doing, having to trust constantly, flinging myself into life. And anyway, I looked across and there were 3 boys travelling alone, 3 boys travelling, and they were absolutely lovely American boys. And it turns out they were woofing, and they'd been on a farm somewhere in Andalusia, and I was asking them about it, and they gave me a few details. I went, hang on, you weren't working on this farm with the Irish horse whisperer Seamus, were you? Turns out they had been. And look, there really isn't too much of a point to this story, except that right at that moment when I was doubting whether I was doing the right thing, whether trusting life and trusting opportunities was the right way to go,